So, and I understand that currently looking at the global market, it looks as if we're pretty much right exactly where we were back in April 9th when we were seeing cryptocurrency really taking that dip. It's been called a correction. It's been called a lot of things. It's been called a crash. I don't know if all these terms necessarily apply, but one thing's for sure, cryptocurrency definitely is a very volatile space. It's for people with tough skin. It's for people who are willing to take risks to a large extent. I know this isn't what everybody likes to hear, but of course, things do happen in the world of cryptocurrency, and this is why we always put a stress on the fact that people need to do their own research when it comes to looking into these various different technologies, because this space has seen really rapid growth, but of course it is marked by steep risks, of course, as we see by the current way that things are going. And I understand not everybody shares my optimistic appraisal of the situation regarding cryptocurrency and the future that's in store for these technologies, but I also know there are people out there who do their research and understand the real full potential that's in store for cryptocurrencies and what we could see happening in the near future as far as these things continue to develop. So there is also a lot of different variables that are coming together involving things that are positive involving cryptocurrency. So definitely a lot of things to stay vigilant about, of course, and I definitely recommend that everybody out there, you know, do your own research when it comes to these sort of things. And it's not me who's saying all this, all these various different things. I mean, you look at all these different news articles, and they're the ones who are pretty much I mean, look at this. Crypto could crash 90% this year. I mean, this is some serious things that people need to pay attention to. I mean, obviously, I know the news is most of the time only clickbait, and I know that that people hate clickbait and so forth. But you have to understand that pretty much all these news articles are interested in doing is getting people in the door and clicking on the articles, and so it is. But of course, I mean, I want to make the argument against these sort of articles that have been coming out, all this FUD that's been released. The reason why I made the title of the video what it is, is so that we can essentially hit the nail on the head, and essentially I can speak to this quarter of the market. Well, I understand, but I honestly see clickbait is having its own uses from time to time. I think that I mean, if you guys aren't interested, you guys can leave. You don't have to watch this content. The way, but of course, I mean, that's all well and good. But I just wanted to say, I mean, just me using a clickbait title doesn't necessarily. I mean, hey, everybody uses clickbait titles. It's really the only way to get your point across, which is one of the major problems that's in store for cryptocurrency. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that crypto is coming to an end. That's not my message. My message is actually a positive one. I'm saying that there's a lot of potential in store for cryptocurrencies. We're seeing the mainstream media really paying attention to these technologies and giving them a lot of credibility on the normal day. But of course, it seems it's definitely interesting, and yeah, so it is interesting to see how there's sort of these multiple different variables that have been happening involving the community as things have been developing and moving forward step by step. But of course, yeah, I mean, I see this sort of situation as a sale. I see the situation that's currently happening as an opportunity to acquire more of these technologies. And of course, for those of us who've done our research, we see the potential that's in store for these things as we continue to move forward. And I mean, everybody is welcome to their own opinion. You guys can say whatever you want. You can dislike the video. It's not going to change my opinion. I understand a lot of people out there panic when they see these sort of declines. But of course, it is interesting when you look at the the total market cap and where things have gone. I mean, there is an upward and a downward momentum, and of course, I mean, it does have to go down before it goes up. And I would argue that we're still in this period of time where we're going through what can be called a healthy correction in terms of cryptocurrency. So just because I have an optimistic appraisal of the situation doesn't necessarily make the title of this stream clickbait. At the end of the day, it is important. I mean, hey, that's why I say you need to do your own research when it comes to these things. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody. Yeah, I mean, hey, I think that I'm not the one who's guilty of it. I mean, obviously, I'm guilty of it, and everybody's guilty of it. But I'm just saying, these mainstream media articles are the. That's essentially what I'm trying to do here with this title, is parody these sort of. I mean, it's satire, you guys. You have to understand that all these various different mainstream news articles. I mean, one day we have Bill Gates coming out and shitting all over cryptocurrency with Warren Buffett in the news, and then a few days later we have Ashton Kutcher or whoever, Ellen DeGeneres, on their show talking about how much they love Ripple. So it's interesting how two-faced the media can be, and you guys have to remember, I'm not your dad. That's true. This is not financial advice. The content that gets produced by this channel is for conversation purposes, and I think that it's important to drive viewer awareness to this clickbait. I think that and that what better way to do it than to attract people in respect to the clickbait that all these various different news articles are clearly guilty of using clickbait to get this point across. But it is interesting to see how the community has been responding, and of course the global market cap isn't going. I mean, we see it spike up, and then we have people all around the news talking about how this is the great revolution, and finally we're going to see cryptocurrencies take over and so forth. And the time is now, and there's a million articles that are talking about that as well. So it is an interesting space, and of course it is interesting to see how these various the technologies that have managed to basically stay strong during this sort of the market that we're seeing. I mean, that's honestly, they are indicators of the strong technologies that we're seeing and so forth. So I mean, that's also another way to see the I mean, it's interesting to see the this sort of pattern that's developing in respect to the technologies that have managed to actually have success in the current state of the market where things currently are. So it is interesting to be paying attention to all this. But of course, yeah, I mean, it is interesting also. But I'd say that people need to pay attention to the positive and the negative side of cryptocurrency. I think that as things continue to develop, there is a lot of multiple different perspectives that are to be had. But of course, I'd recommend that everybody go and follow us on our official Twitter. I'll plop the link to the Twitter in the the link's right there in the description in the live stream. So if you guys are interested in sharing your opinion, we'll see. But just tell me why we see things like these various different news articles regarding crypto. I mean, you just search Bitcoin on, and it's I mean, whenever it's down any amount of percentage, there's so many of these various different it's right here. I mean, these clickbait, but of course, Bitcoin manipulation highly probable. So I mean, this is a reality that we have to pay attention to when it comes to the space that cryptocurrency is. So as things continue to develop and we see. I'm not trying to rationalize clickbait. I wouldn't say that's my goal here. My goal but my goal is to spread awareness when it comes to these technologies, and help people become aware of what's currently happening. I definitely recommend that you guys follow Ripple and or whatever crypto you like. Definitely follow them on Twitter, just to stay up to date regarding these technologies and so forth. But yeah, it is interesting to see how these developments have been progressing. But I would say that my long term appraisal of the cryptocurrency situation is that these technologies are a new paradigm. So when it comes to moving into this paradigm shift that we're currently witnessing, it's going to have to basically have an effect on all different levels of society. We have to see how all these various different things are going to be perceived by the media and so forth as things continue to develop. So yeah, it is a long journey, but I would say that my analysis for how things are going to be, I would say 2020 is going to be interesting time. But all that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.